Okay, you see it.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you. So yes, I'm going to adopt a more European perspective because that's what the Society of Audiovisual Authors is about. And I will first start by introducing the organization I'm working for. And then I will look into the European audiovisual market because I think it's important to understand in which market we operate. So we can have authors' rights or copyright granted by law, but the implementation in specific conditions is can make a difference. So you will see if you have any comparison possible with Southeast Asia. Then I will look into the specificities of audiovisual authors' rights, also that and the combination of legislation and market practices. Before giving you a picture of the situation of collective management of rights in the sector. And addressing the new technologies and artificial intelligence as the main topic of this discussion and presentation. So first, the Society of Audiovisual Authors. We have 34 members in 26 countries. Our members are the collective management organizations managing rights for screenwriters and directors. Together, they represent more than 167,000 film and TV screenwriters and directors. The organization was established in 2010 to promote audiovisual authors' rights and their remuneration, and to develop the collective management of audiovisual authors' rights and remuneration, mainly in Europe. So I want to start with the specificities of the European audiovisual market so that you can understand my perspective and see if some features match the situation in Southeast Asia. So as I indicated in this first slide, the audiovisual market is characterized by diversity and concentration. A few figures to start with. The sector has been shaped by the national media ecosystems. So this diversity is reflected by an industry offering of a total of 12,000 audiovisual media services and video sharing platforms available in the wide Europe. Among 3/4 of these services are linear services, more than 9,000 TV channels, and 1/4 are non-linear services, more than 3,000 VOD services, including advertising VOD, catch-up TV, video sharing platforms. In Europe, we have 42% of TV channels that are regional and local services, and most of them are serving national markets. As far as the TV programming, it's largely defined by thematic fragmentation, while on-demand services have a clear focus on film and TV fiction at the moment. In terms of ownership, the European TV market is divided into a public sector with mainly generalist programming, and a private sector which has expanded into thematic cable, IPTV, and satellite channels. In contrast, 97% of on-demand services and video sharing platforms are privately owned. Public service media have entered the VOD market as well, gradually expanding their catch-up services into full-fledged VOD services. The fiction titles produced in Europe in 2022 were commissioned by public service broadcasters, 55%, private broadcaster for 32%, and global streamers, 12%. And in total, the European audiovisual market was worth close to 130 billion euros in 2022, with European Union countries accounting for close to 3/4, around 95 billion. I wanted to show you this also because it's about the concentration aspects. The top 20 players in Europe have accumulated 73% of top 100 revenues in 2022. And non-European players have acquired a strong foothold in the European audiovisual market. US players represent the largest group of non-European parent companies of audiovisual services in Europe. 18 of all private TV channels, excluding local TV, are US owned, and 39% of all SVOD services in Europe belong to a US company. But the concentration is the main characteristic of VOD usage, with 85% of viewing time generated by only 3 services: Netflix, Prime Video, and Disney. So how the audiovisual authors' rights operate in the EU market? Well, first, a quick reminder of the authorship on audiovisual works in Europe. So first, a film in EU legislation designate a cinematographic or audiovisual work or moving images, whether with or without sound. There is no harmonization of the definition of the authorship on audiovisual works, except for the film director. However, most legislation include the director, the screenwriter, and the composer of the original music among the co-authors. A number of member states also include other creative technicians like a director of photography, set designers, costume designers, editors, etc. As far as the SA members, they represent at least screenwriters and or directors to be part of the organization. Composers of the original music of audiovisual works are usually members of music CMOs or multi-repertoire organization. I wanted to share with you this slide. It looks a bit complex, but it gives you an idea of the current working European screenwriters and directors in Europe. The European Audiovisual Observatory identified close to 30,000 creators who wrote and or directed at least one film or TV or SVOD fiction between 2015 and 2021. The data show a low level of activity of screenwriters and directors, with many of them having worked on only one project during the time period. And this show, there was also a move of theatrical film screenwriters and directors to TV and SVOD fiction. This move was favored by stronger growth in assignment for TV and SVOD fiction, and COVID-19 probably accelerated the trend as it impacted the theatrical film assignments much more than TV or SVOD assignments. There is an intense turnover. The sector is characterized by precarity. Theatrical film writers wrote on average 1.3 2015 and 2021. And for TV SVOD fiction, it was 1.9 films or TV films or TV series. And for directors, the situation is similar. 1.3 films directed between 2015 and 2021, and 2.2 TV films and TV series for directors. So yeah, it shows you that there are a lot of screenwriters and directors who want to work in this industry, but the competition is tough and it's difficult to work on a regular basis. Then I come to the authors' rights. So as all other authors, audiovisual authors enjoy exclusive rights of reproduction and communication to the public, and the right of making available that cover broadcasting, retransmission, public performance, online and on-demand uses. These rights were harmonized by a directive in 2001. except moral rights, who are not harmonized in the EU. Then the situation is a bit more complex than what's provided in the law, because contractual practices in the audiovisual sector makes it difficult for audiovisual authors to exercise and enforce their rights properly. So many contracts signed by authors with producers transfer the author's exclusive rights to the producer. Many signed what we call buyout contracts. So they receive a lump sum payment, which covers the work done, writing the script or directing the film, and the rights transfer. So unless copyright law protect them, it's difficult for authors to really negotiate contracts. They are in a weak bargaining position because the contract negotiation takes place before the audiovisual work exists for screenwriters and directors, and its value on the market is unknown. The European Commission is inquiring in this field currently with a study on contractual practices affecting the transfer of copyright and related rights. And it aims at assessing the impact of such contractual practices on authors and performers' ability to be remunerated for the different exploitation of their works. And this issue was also addressed with the 2019 directive on copyright, which for the first time addressed the weak bargaining position of authors and performers. I will come to that later. Just also a quick presentation of the collective management of audiovisual authors' rights in Europe, because in this difficult individual contract context, collective management play an important role in securing fair and proportionate remuneration for the exploitation of audiovisual authors' works. This is just an image to present you the international commercialization chain of the audiovisual sector. So on the left hand, you have authors which transfer their rights to the producers, but you can see that there are many intermediaries with the commercialization of the work and the consumer's position. So these many contracts and licenses in between makes it difficult for any remuneration provided in the contract to flow back to authors following the same route. And that's where collective management model intervene. It allows the authors to get remuneration with just one intermediary, the collective management organization, who are negotiating royalties with the exploiters of their works. This is a snapshot of the current collective rights management collection of the SAA members. Together, they collected 700 million euros in 2022. Broadcasting is the main field of collection. It represents 37% of the total collection in 2022. Retransmission royalties are in second position, and they experience an important growth in 2022, representing in total 25% of the collections. Private copying is ranking third, 15% of the total collection, and on-demand and online collections continue growing, but it's less than 10% of the collection, which is a big contrast with the real use and consumption of audiovisual works. Nowadays, this is the main access to audiovisual works for the audience. Then in taking into account the contractual practices, our experience is that in the audiovisual sector, for the collective rights management system to apply, you need the law to help and provide unwaivable rights to remuneration with mandatory collective management. So this is a snapshot of the situation currently in Europe. You have Spain, Italy, and Estonia, who have general provision providing for rights to remuneration collectively managed. You have a list of rights collectively managed in Poland that covers for now cinema, TV, public performance, and rental, and that is being discussed currently to extend this list to on-demand online exploitation. In the Netherlands, it's limited to communication to the public and exclude on-demand uses. In Switzerland, you have a specific provision that provides this right to remuneration for on-demand uses. Germany, this is limited to retransmission and direct injection with a new provision for Article 17 uses, thanks to the 2019 Copyright Directive. In Belgium, the transposition of the directive also created retransmission and on-demand uses, and Article 17 uses a right to remuneration. And Slovenia also is one of the countries who made the best use of the Copyright Directive implementation by providing many unwaivable rights to remuneration. And then you have also countries with a combination of strong legal principles and voluntary collective management practices, like France, Belgium, Switzerland, and Lithuania, Romania, and Portugal improved also their legislation in favor of audiovisual authors with the implementation of the directive. Just to highlight that with this slide that the current challenge for audiovisual authors is to include in this model the streaming and online services for their remuneration. So I showed you that only 10% of CMO's collection in the audiovisual sector derive from this sector. So that's what we are working on. Sometimes streamers are trying to escape such payment by proposing collective bargaining agreements, but this kind of collective bargaining agreements only cover the works they produce. So it's as they have a very limited scope, while statutory right to remuneration can cover the full repertoire of a service. Then I come to new technologies and artificial intelligence because yeah, for the essay, while we were still fighting for improving the position of audiovisual authors in the streaming market, a new technology erupted last year, really disrupting the market and creators' work and rights. So we looked into the situation with a position paper that we worked on last summer, and we titled it AI Must Serve Society and Enhance Human Creativity. I think this is a very common approach for authors' rights defenders. So with this paper, we looked into the impact of AI on audiovisual authors. We are clearly aware that audiovisual sector is not at the forefront of the development of this new technology. It was more visual artists and writers who were the most impacted from the beginning. But we can see that it's also coming and it's starting to be used in the audiovisual sector too. Looking into the impact, the current and future impact on AI, we not only addressed the author's rights perspective, but also the job perspective, with the risk of authors being replaced by AI tools. Our approach was very critical about an extensive interpretation of the TDM exception by the Commission. We consider that considering the TDM exception as the basis for all AI developments is not respectful of the three-step test. So we would like to promote a more narrow approach to this exception. Because we consider that the development of this completely new business and economic sector should respect the basic principles of copyright and authors' rights. When they are using protected work as training data, they should respect authorization, they should remunerate the authors, and they should be transparent. Sometimes we talk about the art of AI for authorization, transparency, and remuneration. In our paper, we wanted also to highlight the role of collective management organization that can play a role in securing remuneration for the authors. I don't think I need to go into the AI Act because you had a presentation yesterday and Abbas also looked into this earlier. So yeah, you know the obligation that AI providers have to respect with regard to copyright law. The summary, maybe I can add just that there is also codes of practice that have to be developed with the Commission, the AI office, and providers. So we this work is going to start rapidly because the regulation now has been published. Just a bit about the timeline of the implementation of the AI Act. So in general, it has to apply in 2026, but the Chapter 5 dealing with the copyright obligation will apply from August 2025, so in a year. But we have to bear in mind that AI systems already placed on the market before August 2025 will benefit from an additional delay until August 2027. So I think this is a bit of problematic because it's encouraging, I mean, it's giving additional delay to the products already on the market. So what's next for an organization like the SA? We feel that the AI Act is just the beginning, not the end of the story on AI and copyright. It does not solve the legal uncertainty around the author's authorization for the use of their works for generative AI purposes and their remuneration for such uses. The Commission extensive interpretation of the TDM exception leaves rights holders with only an opt-out, which is a real difficulty for authors. And we consider that this extensive interpretation is an error. Legally, there are many arguments against the exception being applied to such massive use of protected works without authorization. Economically, encouraging opt-out instead of licensing means that no value would be created for European authors. And culturally, if AI models are not trained with European works, these services will offer standardized products designed outside our culture and in contradiction with the cultural diversity logic. So we consider that there is an urgent need to clarify the application of the principles of authorization and remuneration for the use of authors' works for AI purposes that will force AI companies to seek licenses, and collective management organizations of audiovisual authors are well placed to play a role in negotiating and delivering licenses to AI companies that would generate remuneration to the authors. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm available for any question in the course of today's conference. Thank you.